What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a big picture tutorial on how to play Invaded Lands Kit PvP. I'm gonna start with a disclaimer before we jump in, and that is that it's very difficult to make it on the server without paying actual money. So it's important to manage your expectations and acknowledge the fact that this guide is meant to be carried out over time if you desire success. Very rarely will you get lucky in a single session of playing. Be sure to approach the game with a good attitude, but don't be afraid to take breaks if you find yourself frustrated or if you get sick of playing. Many a time the following guide will not work if OP players are grinding kills or if the stars don't align just right in any other way. So this also goes without saying, but I will mention that this guide is very strategic and possibly intense by some definitions, so there is a chance that you won't find the game fun if you tackle the challenge with this approach. So generally speaking, this is my opinion on how to have fun on the server, so be sure to play in a way that optimizes your fun. That sort of goes without saying, but all that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm going to first go over the things that we have, so the things that we can use to sort of further ourselves on the server. So we have daily kits, which include the default, elite, archer, daily, and PvP kits. The kits with the lowest cooldown rates are the default and daily kits, but unsurprisingly they give the best gear. You can redeem them every day or so. On a positive note, these kits are extremely helpful and give non-donors a chance to compete. If you do the kits every day, you can walk away with 3 OP apples, 2 sets of tier 1 diamond armor, decent weapons, and a few potions, including speed and splash, poison. On top of the kits, you also have the access vote, which grants you a vote key. These are redeemable through the /crates command, or also at spawn, and will give you anything from fishing rods to potions to ranks. More likely than not, you're going to get mediocre rewards, like maybe a couple thousand units of in-game currency, or maybe potions, but by voting every day, you always have a chance to get lucky. So the vote crate is potentially game-breaking, and if you do end up getting lucky, this tutorial most likely will no longer apply to you, and you will almost certainly become a power player on the server. So after voting, we have access to storage units, including an ender chest and 1 private vault. Assuming we have enough money, we have access to purchase up to tier 3 enchants on our items, and our income is approximately $20 a kill. This amount fluctuates and seems to have some dependence on kill streaks and rank of the player, and a bunch of other factors that I'm just not aware of. So now we're going to go on to the goals for this tutorial. So I want to construct a playstyle that is 1. Self-sustaining and recursive in nature, meaning the process is iterative and builds off of itself. 2. I want to make sure that the playstyle is fun, which is pretty self-explanatory. 3. I want it to be realistic, meaning that the only demands of the strategy include items that are accessible by players without rank. And 4. I want it to optimize, meaning that it uses all of the resources available to the player. I sort of want to note some of the things that we shouldn't prioritize. So this includes kill-death ratios, kill counts, and interaction with toxic players. So KD should not be important because we're already at enough of a disadvantage. Kill count should not be prioritized because it slows down the rate at which you obtain diamond gear, which is a contradiction to the optimization goal that we set out. And toxic players should be avoided for simple reasons. They ruin the fun of the game and will make you frustrated. I suggest turning off chat when you play. Also, don't buy into toxicity. It's not worth arguing with idiots. Now we're going to get into the meat of the strategy. So you've spawned into the server with nothing to your name except for the things I've already covered. So what you want to do is do your kits and claim your diamond armor, OP apples, vote key, tier 1 weapons, and understand that you have an effectively unlimited supply of tier 2 iron gear and golden apples through the kit PvP, which is reusable every 30 seconds or so. So the strategy has 2 sub-strategies to follow based on your skill level. So for the above average PvPers, carry 1 set of diamond gear, use a sharp 1 diamond sword or a sharp 3 stone, carry at least 20 regular golden apples, and arrows. Be sure to store your other set of diamond armor. Don't carry potions or OP apples. You'll want to save those for later, later down the line when we improve the strategy. So when you're ready, jump down spawn and target singled out diamond players with gray names. So basically players that are in a similar boat to you. Kill iron players only if they push you or if they're ganging up on you, and generally speaking, it is not a good idea to target iron players because you'll suffer a lot of durability loss on your armor, especially if you can't get them into a combo. Be sure to steal kills whenever possible. At all costs, avoid contact with high donors, players with fire on their weapons, or people in groups. Understand you're almost certainly going to lose these fights. Once you kill another gray named diamond player, pick up their loot, run, and go back to spawn ASAP. Store the goodies and repeat. Since you have confidence in your PvP ability, you should win the majority of your fights against players with similar items. This gives you the ability to stack up gear quickly, even if it's damaged. Make sure to store the armor and good weapons in your ender chest and private vault. There is no need to store golden apples and arrows because they are easily accessible. Potions are good to store if you have room for them in your vaults. For below average PvPers, the item allocation is pretty similar, but there are some extra steps. So you want to prioritize fighting with friends in groups. Again, be sure to gang up on diamond players with gray names to make sure you don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't single out players, especially ones with equal to better stuff, because you will lose items in the long run. If you can't find a group of friends to play with, single out less stacked players and minimize your losses that way. Alternatively, use your kit PvP to fight with, and rarely use your diamond gear when you're alone. This way your KD will take a beating, but you won't lose anything, and you're bound to make some money off of cleaning iron fights. Eventually, you will rack up enough money and gear to profit in the long term. Progress might be slower if you opt for this strategy, since you don't risk as much per kill, and consequently you don't gain as much per kill, but you will be receiving a net positive. So these strategies can be followed verbatim, but don't feel like you have to. This, in my opinion, is just the safest balance between risk and potential profit, but if you are more confident than I am in PvP ability, feel free to play with risk that you're willing to stomach. So let's now go over the counters to the strategy. So the first counter, I think I sort of touched on this already, is high donors and their farming kills. So on the server there's a leaderboard that keeps track of the top 5 players with the most kills, and as a result they're going to target everyone they see, and they have like the best gear in the game. So this is pretty self-explanatory, you're going to get messed up. The other thing to worry about are teamers and hackers. So unless you have teammates as well, this is a consequence of the strength in numbers notion. And then the last thing, last counter to this strategy, more of a check, is presence of chuggers. So something that's important to note is that protection 1 diamond players will be able to out-heal your hits from a sharp 1 diamond or a sharp 3 stone, and if all they do is just chug apples. So you will win the fight against the chuggers because they're not going to be doing damage to you, but your gains will be very minimal because you're going to break their helmet or something before you kill them. Okay, so on to the next step. Suppose you've been doing the strategy that suits you best for a bit of time, maybe a week or so, and you've probably racked up quite a few kills and some money as a result. Your storage spaces are looking decent, you've done your kits every day and continue to vote. The next step is to get a good weapon. So if you do /warp shop, you will find that you are able to purchase enchantments. So purchasing a diamond sword for $350, putting sharpness 3 on it for $1250, and putting some level of unbreaking on it, which will run you around $1,000 to $2,000, and the total will therefore be between $2,600 and $3,600. So looking at this now, it's probably unnecessary to go for Unbreaking 3, so I'd suggest opting for the Sharpness 3 Unbreaking 1 strategy. So assuming that we get $20 per kill, you will need to kill at least 130 players to make up the cost of the sword. But that being said, the sword will now counter chuggers and therefore increase your farming rates. So normal playstyle will also have to change consequently once you get the sword. So since you're now risking a lot more, if you use one of these swords, going out with at least 1 OP apple, speed potions, and a punch bow might actually be very useful. So you want to keep farming diamond gear the same way that you have been, while also avoiding losing battles, including like the cheaters and teamers and OP players and whatever. Understandably, you will eventually lose a fight to an overgeared player, but don't be discouraged. If you ended up losing money on the sword, you have the kits and boat keys to fall back on. Losing the sword immediately brings you back to square one, but there's always something to do. Be receptive to the reasons for your loss and be analytical about how you can fix your downfalls. Maybe you fought an OP player and lost, maybe you got out PvP'd. Make sure you learn from your mistakes. For the next steps, you want to keep doing this process until you've earned enough money to purchase diamond armor with protection 3 and unbreaking. This is a place where I'd actually recommend unbreaking 3. So at this point, only target OP players, as they will be your surefire way of finding success. You need to have friends to help you out to top one of these players because they are going to have max tier items and loads of OP apples. Dropping one will set you up for the rest of your time playing on the server. Please note that you cannot purchase items past tier 3 enchants. You cannot purchase items better than what the donators get, unfortunately. That being said, if you save up enough money, purchasing god weapons through the auction house is not a bad bet. The auction house is accessible through the /AH command. So, conclusion time. Generally speaking, we've built a self-sustaining strategy through the iterative nature of the strategy as a consequence of the kits, ability to store items, and ability to vote. I find fun in this process because I'm always setting goals and building long-term wealth. The process uses all resources available, including friends if you're not lonely like me. Finally, the strategy is extremely algorithmic. Risks are made but are maintained and controlled, always leaving room for more growth and never exhausting all of the user's resources. Going into the details, make sure you vote every day, do your kits, take aggressive enough risks that you can stomach, but approach them with rationality. Don't risk unnecessarily, and especially out of spite or hatred for another player. You will lose in the long run if you approach the game with this strategy. Follow the strategies and build your wealth over time, not overnight. Be open-minded and analytical about your losses, and don't be afraid to celebrate your victories. Last thing, this sort of goes without saying again, and I feel stupid for saying it, but I feel like a lot of people fail to account for this. Have fun. Don't play the server if it doesn't entertain you. This guide is a tutorial on how to optimize fun on invaded lands. Play in a way that allows you to have fun. I find setting and achieving goals to be fun. I also find the rags to riches concept to be fun. If you don't, this guide isn't for you, and I encourage you to play in a way that gives you the most benefit. These are all of my secrets to the server in my month and a half or so of playing. I hope some of you found this enjoyable and helpful. If so, feel free to let me know and toss me a like. If you think I got something wrong, please tell me about that too. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.